Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Nocturne on the PC. In honor of spooky season, Deleted Saves will be delving into two horror-themed games that were only ever on the PC. This second episode will focus on 1999's Nocturne. One of the main concepts of horror is disempowerment, making the protagonist of the story weak, small, and insignificant in the face of powerful foes, or pitting them against a dangerous environment, isolation with little to no resources or weapons with which to defend themselves. There are plenty of novels that explore such topics, as well as movies like John Carpenter's The Thing or Night of the Living Dead that explore such topics with variations on the theme. 1996's Resident Evil turned the gaming world on its collective head by coining a new field of horror called survival horror, in which the character, alone and limited on ammunition, explores an environment in which a desperate struggle for survival, search for supplies, escape, and answers to the mystery behind the scares is critical. Many games have jumped on the bandwagon after that, and the subject of today's topic was not so different from its fellow games. Well, let me explain. Nocturne is a survival horror game with all the trappings: scary locations, limited supplies and ammo, even some light environmental puzzles. But the character is far from disempowered. The player steps into the shoes of the Stranger, a man clad in a gray fedora and gray trench coat, eyes hidden behind smoke goggles, with a gravelly voice and disaffected attitude like a Raymond Chandler novel on steroids. The Stranger is a member of Spook House, an FBI subdivision begun under the Theodore Roosevelt administration after Teddy shot and killed a werewolf while on a hunting trip. The Stranger and his allies, either reformed mad scientists, half monsters willing to work off their sins, or those who have survived against impossible odds while confronting supernatural events, conduct horror-cides, or sweep and clear, no-mercy slaughters of monsters. Nocturne takes place over 4 distinct missions that range between the late 1920s to the mid-1940s. The Stranger, the best at what he does, and having 2 pistols to prove it, keeps mentioning a failed horror-cide against a werewolf clan throughout the missions. This is what we in the business call foreshadowing, kids. This first mission takes place in Transylvania, hunting a vampire lord along with his unwanted ally and half-vampire Svetlana. Keep this name in mind. The early 1930s in Texas against the Lovecraftian elder god and the zombies it creates. Later 1930s Chicago during the Prohibition days when someone is creating an army of Frankenstein's monsters to shore up the mafia. And post-World War II England, where an old ally has retired and gone mad, setting up a death trap house for Spook House members. The Stranger slays and slays again, an unstoppable force against the immovable object of worldwide evil. While survival horror, it is still a power fantasy, but it does work well for what it is. Problematically, Nocturne ended on a cliffhanger. At game's end, the Stranger returns to Spook House, finding everyone either dead or missing, and the place wrecked, with a bloody calling card from the very werewolf clan he has been mentioning repeatedly throughout the game. As you can likely guess, this cliffhanger is all we have of what was planned to be a series, and the game received good reviews at the time of its release. But its sales were lackluster, to say the least. Well, they were shit, to be blunt. This is unfortunate, as the gameplay, despite the issues with camera angles, is as smooth as you could get on PC for fixed camera angle survival horror games in the style of Resident Evil. However, Nocturne had some strange bedfellows. In 2000, a semi-sequel was created, and for reasons unknown to me, the developers decided to attach Nocturne to the Blair Witch movie franchise by creating a game called Blair Witch Volume 1, Rustin Parr, where the members of Spook House enter the Maryland woods in search of madness and death in the wake of the Blair Witch legend. While the Stranger does have a cameo, it is the team's scientist who is the main character of the story, and it sold some copies. But still, this is not the end for Nocturne. Developer Terminal Reality decided to take a different tact. Remember I specifically mentioned the Stranger's ally Svetlana? Well, in what was supposed to be Nocturne 2, the developer decided to focus on this character as the main character. However, They've decided to redesign Svetlana, removing her faux Russian accent and cape but keeping her unique arm-length blades, stuffed her into a tight leather outfit with exposed cleavage, and renamed her Rain. As in BloodRayne. That's right, folks. An arguably far more financially and culturally successful BloodRayne series was born from Nocturne, and the developer trying to win over the male gamer market with spilled guts and tits. And they accomplished their goal, no shade on them, capitalism won. By and large, that is the story behind Nocturne. I have a soft spot for this old PC game. I deeply enjoyed the monster ass-kicking in the early 20th century, a cast of oddball characters and their scene-chewing, rock-gargling, gray-suited leader. If any game deserves a remaster or a full remake on modern consoles, or PC, it is this game. But unlike the subject of the previous episode, Nocturne has been lost to time. It has not appeared on any retro game service like GOG, and to my knowledge, it may be only available if you can find a physical copy of the disc, or you can have a computer still running a Windows 2000, or a ROM hack. The game is still held under copyright by Terminal Reality, but currently they appear to have no plans for it. A shame, frankly. But it would seem the sun has forever set upon this particular intellectual property. With this game tale told, we conclude our look into some of the lesser appreciated video game horror during the most scaretacular time of the year. If you stay in and play some spooky games this year, perhaps you can dig into these digital carcasses for some treats. Thank you for listening.